Welcome everyone to tea time. I have my daughter Cameron with us today and her pup Kata. And they're joining me for a little bit of moral support today. We're going to talk about my horse Zohari. As some of you know, I had to put him to sleep yesterday after more than 25 years together. He was born in my pasture. My mother bred him specifically for me from a mare we had and a little Arabian stallion a friend of ours had. And at the time I thought she was crazy. But she said, no, he's going to be your super horse. And she was right. He was my super horse for a lot of years. And it's hard to talk about not having him anymore. But it was time. It was time for him to go. And so I dragged Cameron into tea time here today to talk about some of the stuff we remember. You know, he taught me so much about training horses, about life. Yesterday, when it was time for euthanasia, I actually realized I could ask him to lie down. This was something I thought was sort of like a party trick when he was younger, but it turned out it was very useful in that moment because often when they put a horse to sleep, there's a really violent fall at the end of their life. And I realized I could give him that one last piece of dignity. And I hadn't asked him to lie down for about 5 years because he was getting pretty frail and his hind end didn't work right. But I asked him, and it took him 2 tries, but he lay down, and then he lay down flat, and he was just so peaceful and so trusting right at the end of his life. And it felt as right as that kind of thing can feel. But I don't really want to focus on his death or his passing. I want to focus on his life. And there was so much good that he brought into my life. And I feel like I wanted to be the best horse trainer I could possibly be. And Zohari was that horse that said, yes, and you also have to understand me as an individual. You have to understand me as the horse I am, above and beyond every training method you learn. And God, am I grateful for that. So grateful.
I'm very grateful too. He taught me a lot as well. I remember being, young and my mom teaching me and my friends so many basics on our little Arabian school horses that, they did wonders for us. But to then often get on Zohari and be like, oh, that's how light they're meant to be. Oh, that's what a flying change feels like. Oh, so that's how you do that. Because you just asked and he just gave and gave and gave. I was just looking through old pictures and so many jumps that, he really didn't want to jump, but you asked him and he obliged. And I think, how many years ago was that summer I rode him? Hold on. Probably almost 5 years ago, or 6.
I would guess 6 or 7, actually.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago, I kind of pulled him out of the pasture for a summer and was on him multiple days a week. And he'd gallop around with me, bareback and bridleless, and out on the trails, and I got to benefit from the 20 years that Mom had put into him before me, and it was really special.
Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you, Elizabeth. That was the thing about Zohari, is he was so giving. He gave everything he had. And I remember...
And sometimes more.
And sometimes more than he had.
Sometimes you'd make it over a jump or up a hill and you'd think, how did we do that? But we did.
He just had the biggest heart. He gave so much. I remember playing polo cross on him, and he didn't really understand the game. He didn't really know why we had to pick up the ball and why we had to gallop with the ball and why we had to avoid the other riders. But he did it. He did everything I asked. And he was the polar opposite of my thoroughbred at the time, who understood the game and aimed for the ball and loved the whole theory and loved getting the ball and loved running with the ball. Zohari wasn't that horse. It wasn't about the game for him. It was always about the relationship for him. He just wanted you to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted the person on his back to feel good. And he did that for so many years.
And for so many people. Remember when Mabu rode him all the time?
I remember when Mabu rode him with you. My mom would ride him and she'd throw Cameron up behind her and they would just go galloping off around the fields together.
When I was too little to even get my arms fully around her waist, I'd hold on to her coat. I'm sure Mom was having a heart attack back at the barn.
I looked the other way. Not my problem, not my monkeys, not my circus. You and your grandmother were having fun.
Mm-hmm. And he was perfect.
And Zohari made sure it was okay. Maggie says, when did he come into your life, Elsa? He actually was bred from a mare that we had, and he was born in my pasture. So he was there from the very, very, very beginning with me.
How old were you when he was born?
I would have been 17 or 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe less. I think it was 17 or 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there was a period of time where I gave up horses and I backpacked around Costa Rica hitchhiking, and my mom kept him for me as a colt. She said, he's here. He's waiting for you. When you get done doing those things, you would have been, a year or 2 years old at that point. And she just took care of him and made sure that he was there waiting at home for me when I got finished doing whatever it was that I had to do.
Mm-hmm. And he was with you from 3-day eventing through natural horsemanship and Pirelli and all the way to your freedom-based training.
Yeah. He went through all the phases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Such beautiful memories. I agree, Sal. And, I think there's a sense of regret that I didn't give him everything that I know now. That, he had to be, in some senses, the sacrificial lamb for the things that I didn't know at the time. And I apologize to him, and I am so grateful for him. And because of him, I'll do better by everybody else. I hope. It's my intention. When we know better, we do better. So, thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to keep this short today. I really appreciate your thoughts and your heartfelt messages you've been sending me. I'm going to miss that horse forever and ever, but I'm so, so glad that he was in our lives. Mm-hmm. He took care of you as well as me.
He taught me not quite as much as you, but plenty as well.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will be back next Tuesday.